Have you ever been fooled by fake hematite? Most likely the answer is yes, but don't worry, we have all been there. My name is Sheila from Satin Crystals, and I thank you for being here, for liking our video, subscribing to our channel, and spreading the word about real versus fake hematite. Let's learn about the real thing. Unfortunately, there is a lot of fake hematite out there. More than 90% of the jewelry that is marked as hematite is actually a man-made version called hematine. Hematine is very closely related to real hematite in its chemical formula, but it is not the real thing. You will not find it out in nature. There's even a company that has trademarked the term Hemalyke for hematine, and they are outright about what they're selling. They say that it is a cheaper, more stable, more uniform version of hematite. So they are stating outright that it is not hematite, but unfortunately, a lot of unsuspecting or deceptive vendors are still labeling hematine as hematite. Now, there's nothing wrong with hematine on its own, but you should know what you are buying. So if I showed you these two stones here, which one would you think is real and which one is fake? They obviously both look very similar in color, and hematine is made to look like this shiny black metallic hematite. So if you guessed that the tumbled stone is the real deal, you are correct. The oval cabochon is a hematine. So it's very hard to tell visually, which is why I am going to give you some tips on how to determine if your hematite is real or fake. The most popular test to determine if your hematite is real or not is the streak test. So the streak test is when you scrape a piece of stone against an unglazed white ceramic tile and you see what color the streak is, or the powder within. So that's the mineral when it's crushed up. Hematite, despite its outwardly appearance, like this metallic gray or a more black color, inside the streak will always be red. That is a great way to determine if your hematite is real or not. Now, most of us can't just go around streaking our stones or crushing them up into powder, so you want to look into the crevices and the veins. These two tumbled stones are very deceptive that they could be hematine because of their surface color, which is the color they make hematine in. But when you look at the veins within the stones, you can see that there is a reddish brown tone within. So this gives you a good indication that the streak of these hematites are reddish brown, making them real hematite tumbled stones. These rings I have on here are actually hematine rings. So they are not real hematite, and you do find these everywhere labeled as hematite rings. So beware of that. This will leave more of a grayish, blackish streak. If you do powder it or if you crush it up, you'll see that it is a gray streak rather than a red. So it's an easy way to determine which is which. Hematine, when it does have the veins or cracks, which is very unusual because they make it so that it is very uniform. But if you do see a crack in the stone, you'll see it more like a little chipping away rather than a natural organic looking vein. But it will not have that reddish tone within. It'll just be the same color as it is on the outside. So the streak of hematite is always red. Real hematite will have inclusions. So as you would expect from a natural stone, you will see all kinds of inclusions, organic veins, craters, crevices, in your real hematite. Whereas hematine is machine made, so it is more perfect. Doesn't have all those little inclusions that you will find in hematite that make hematite unique. Hematine is known for being a uniform stone. So it is just that one color all around. If you do think you see some inclusions, it is most likely just a chip. So it got chipped or it got dinged on the way, but it's not really an inclusion. So this cube here, you will see has all kinds of things going on the surface of the hematite. So that's an easy way to tell that this is a real hematite. Now, sometimes you do come across pieces of hematite that have been polished to perfection. And in that case, they also have that mirror-like uniformity of hematine, and you will have to do some other tests to rule it in to the real hematite category. Real hematite has no magnetic or a weak magnetic pull. So this can be a little bit confusing because sometimes real hematite does have that magnetism because it has inclusions of other minerals that are magnetic, like magnetite, growing with it. And there is a hematine that some vendors sell called magnetic hematite. It is not hematite, but it is very magnetic, like this pile of magnetized hematines I have here. They're very magnetic to themselves, and they will attract other things that are magnetic as well. But in its pure state, hematite is not magnetic. If it does have some of the magnetic inclusions within it, like magnetite, for example, this real hematite angel carving has a lot of magnetite in it, and it does make it magnetic. So if you can see that it'll actually be magnetized. In this case, you want to rule it in with some of the other tests, so you'll be able to determine that this is actually hematite, even though it has that magnetic pull. Real hematite will be more magnetic if it's heated to high degrees. So magnetic hematite is a man-made substance, mineral, and it actually gets weaker in magnetism when it is heated to high temperatures. Whereas hematite, if it has that weak magnetic pull to begin with, will increase in magnetism if it is heated to high temperatures. So that is one way to tell them apart. Real hematite is weighty. So real hematite is a solid, dense stone. It has a specific gravity density of around a 5.3, whereas your average crystal is around a 2.5 or a 3. So here I have a real hematite. It weighs about 10 ounces. Here is real obsidian, and they're about the same size, but this one only weighs around 5 ounces. So to be sure that you have hematite, the real thing, you can do a density test to rule out any other material. Now, hematine may have the same density depending on what the formula was. So you'll have to use other tests to rule that out. But to rule out other stones masquerading as hematite, you can use the density test, weighty hematite. Real hematite conducts electricity. Now, this is a very interesting test, and I was a little bit skeptical at first, but then I tried it on all of our real hematite pieces, and they were able to move a screen, the phone screen around, touch screens, like a little stylus. You see here that real hematite wand is able to move your touch screen. All of the hematite pieces were able to do that because they conduct electricity. And all of our hematine pieces were not able to move the screen at all. So this is a very simple, easy way to determine if you have real hematite versus hematine. So those are some of the popular ways to tell if your hematite is real or not. Now, none of these tests are conclusive in themselves, but you can mix and match until you determine what your stone really is. If you need even additional tests, we do have some more tips and tricks on the satin crystals, hematite, real versus fake article. So make sure to check that out after this. If you are still unsure, you can send your piece into a certified gemological laboratory and they can give you a certificate. Now, this is not always available for everybody, so the next best thing is to have a reputable seller like Satin Crystals, where you can feel confident that they are doing their research, they are sharing that research with you, they don't want you to be fooled, and they have a whole collection of real hematite stones like we do at Satin Crystals. You can shop with confidence. And we also have these Hematine rings, which you can place your spheres and eggs on, but we label them Hematine. Thank you for being here, for learning, for supporting us and spreading the word. We will see you in the next video.